Welcome back to Murphy's Law. I'm excited to be here with you again today. We're going to explore something today that's really near and dear to my heart, verified authority. Verified authority is near and dear to me because I've seen throughout my entire career places where a person can get in to any venue, any courthouse, any really official venue or its official security portfolio with just a flash of a piece of plastic or a flash of a tin badge. And I want to explore that with you a little bit today and really kind of have fun with it, but also help you understand why I started a company called SurePass. When we really look at what verified authority means today, we don't really explain and think through all the intricacies that a security apparatus has in an arena, in a hospital, in a school, even in our courthouses. We think oftentimes that, when you come through that security checkpoint and that security guard is checking you for any metal or any guns or knives that you may have, that kind of settles the playing field and makes sure that everybody coming through that security checkpoint is checked. Well, I hate to say it to you, but there is one level of security that we've missed for millennia, and that is anyone that bypasses that security checkpoint. And believe it or not, there's a ton of people that do that, whether you're an employee of that venue, whether you're a police officer or anyone else in that official capacity. We're a firefighter, paramedic, and what that does is it opens us up to vulnerabilities. And not just that venue, but the public as a whole. As I've sat on different task force groups and different security management groups, I've learned that this vulnerability can be one of our crucial vulnerabilities that really leave us exposed. I want to just even kind of explore a few with you because I bet a bunch of you are saying, Murphy, how often does this actually really happen? One of my favorites is this one with our friend Taylor Swift. Police said a man got into a concert area by pretending to be a security guard and carrying a badge near the floor. He was arrested on charges including falsely impersonating an officer and interfering with an entertainment event. Now, I want to just set that up for you. First of all, what in the world entices a person to say, I want to get next to Taylor, and so I think I'm going to go ahead and impersonate a peace officer or impersonate a security guard to try and get into Taylor's dressing room. And then they actually carry it out. It takes a little bit of interesting thought processes to really think that person's going to get away with that. But the most interesting part is he got away with it because he got in. It wasn't until after he did the impersonation did they find out that he impersonated that person. And all he had to do was put on a security outfit and really just walk in with purpose. The funny thing about that is anywhere you go across the country, we're seeing that is a consistent vulnerability, and that's a problem. The next one is one that happened at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Arizona Department of Public Safety said a man was arrested at a stadium ahead of Charlie Kirk's memorial service and booked in on charges including impersonating a peace officer and carrying a weapon into a prohibited place. Now, this one is very interesting to me. Why? Because we all remember who was at Charlie Kirk's funeral. This was a national televised event. And more than that, we had some of the world's and nation's biggest and most important leaders attending that event, including our president, Donald Trump. Now, here's the funny part. At a presidential event, there is a lot of security. And there is a ton of people who are there to check credentials, who are there to make sure people that are there in their official capacity have that capacity and authority. The question that we don't often ask is how? What is the how? While we are there to check those people, how are we verifying that those people exist in the way that they should exist? Now, the context behind this individual is that he was indeed a peace officer. Now, and this is the one I'm talking about now. It may be a whole different set of circumstances and multiple people, but the one I heard about constantly was the guy who impersonated on that day was indeed a peace officer, but he was on leave. And that he got in full gear with his firearms and everything else, saying that he was on Donald Trump's detail doing advance. Now, you might ask, what is the problem here if he was an actual cop? If we have a person coming into a facility saying that they are there in an official capacity, but actually don't have the authority to be there and are not there in their actual official capacity, what are you there for? Now, some people might say that that person's there just to lay eyes on the president because people get all enamored by laying eyes on big leaders. Some other people might say that he was there to do harm. We'll never know. The good news is the good guys won this time. What I'm nervous about is the day the good guys don't win. What day are we going to have someone impersonate a peace officer, impersonate a catering person, or a construction worker, or anyone in their official capacity, and use that official capacity to do harm? That is the problem with the way our systems are set up today. That is why this is a problem across the nation. But it's also why we invented this company called SurePass. SurePass is there to verify someone in their official capacity. More than that, they're there to verify someone's authority. And when you can verify someone's authority, it really does help to literally not put the onus on that low-level security guard or that, usher who has to check someone's credentials. It allows you to take the guesswork out of what you're doing. And so it's really imperative that we kind of move that needle across the nation to make sure this vulnerability is addressed. I want to keep going on this one. We had another one happen in Pacific Palisades, the wildfire evacuation zone in Los Angeles County. Authorities say 2 people from Oregon were arrested after allegedly posing as firefighters in a fire truck to enter an evacuation zone. Prosecutors later announced charges for impersonating firefighters during a wildfire emergency. Now, I don't understand why a person would literally go into an evacuation zone when the authorities have said it's not safe for you. But more than that, they got on a fire truck to go into that evacuation zone, posing as people in their official capacity, being firefighters during an emergency. The funny part about emergencies, not just in our nation, but all the nations, is that emergencies tend to have chaotic times. Chaos literally ensues because you have people running around. You have emergency personnel coming in from everywhere, all over the place, all the time. And when you have hundreds and hundreds of emergency personnel coming in, you almost have to rely on the honesty and integrity of that emergency personnel coming in to make sure that they can actually help you, not hinder you. This is what you call self-deployment. A lot of people don't realize, but when you have a school shooting or you have a wildfire or you have, any major catastrophe, a lot of emergency personnel, because of how we're trained and how we do business, we show up so that we can help. The flaw in that is that if there's a bad actor, there's someone that isn't there well-trained, well-focused, and understands how to help in the right way, that can be a huge detriment to everything that's going on to help the people that need help in that emergency. And so, another reason why we have to make sure we're verifying authority is because not the fact that you have the authority, but it's the fact that you know how to use it properly. I don't want a ton of people who are not trained to do what we need to be done in this scenario of, a wildfire or a school shooting or, name that catastrophe. We want to make sure we have well-trained, well-focused, and appropriate personnel on these scenes, and which is another reason why you have to verify capacity. I'm going to do one last one. We have a fake EMT person near North Carolina State in 2024. Court documents report that EMS1 said a man falsely claimed to be an off-duty EMT intervened in the care of an unconscious person and continued asserting medical authority even after real responders arrived. This is a good example of why we need our EMTs to be verified throughout the country. Now, what's interesting about that is we've all been on car accidents or seen on the road where someone shows up to help out. I've been in many situations myself as an off-duty police officer where I just happen to be the first on the scene, and I start to, make sure I guide people the right way, start to direct traffic, get emergency responders there so that the people involved can be helped. Now, what would entice a person to have the audacity to not only help in the way that they want to help, which wasn't very helpful, it sounds like, but also try to intervene on the actual responders who are responding that have the actual training as medical personnel? That makes absolutely no sense. But what's interesting about that is that it became a case. The fact that we even heard about it means that there was no way to verify that person's authority or official capacity in that moment at that time. Because if there was a real easy way to verify them, whether it's scanning their OCID, their official capacity ID, or even looking them up in the system to say, who are you, why are you here, and are you trained to do what you're saying you're trained to do, that is a flaw in our system. And so now we have this person who's really intervening in the wrong way, causing chaos on a scene that otherwise is already chaotic. Another example of what that looks like is even doctors. How many of us have been on the airplane when they say, is there a doctor or a nurse on board? And we're looking to have someone intervene with a medical license. How do we verify that that doctor is not a chiropractor or, a PhD who might just think they need to help? We have to have a better way to verify someone's authority. And the way that we do that is SurePass. SurePass was literally created to verify authority, to help understand how the everyday person, but also the people that are in charge, can verify and trust the people that are trying to help. It's not a way to demean the good guys. It's actually a way to flesh out the bad guys and really deter people from making bad and critical decisions that will not only change their lives, but all the lives of the people involved in the chaotic situation. You might be asking, why does this matter to me? And what does verified trust look like for me? Well, I'm going to tell you. Society relies on trust to function. When there's a lack of trust, communities start to break down. And without trust, we go into survival mode. Every man for himself. We need each other to thrive. SurePass is one of those tools that we can use to help restore that trust in each other and remove the space for bad actors. When we can trust each other, we can truly thrive and live the American dream, keeping our families safe, trusting in our neighbors, and trusting in the people who protect us and keep us safe every day. My name's Murphy Robinson, and I'll see you next time.